joining us in BeeTv Global News Update at 12. I am Lee Brittman Johanna. Now the news in details. A U.S. naval strike force centered around the world's largest warship, the USS Gerald R. Ford, arrived in the Caribbean, the U.S. Navy has confirmed. The arrival of the strike group, which was ordered to the region by President Donald Trump last month, comes amidst ongoing strike against alleged drug boats and tensions with Venezuela. BeeTv News' Esehe Osemwike has details.
The U.S. has so far carried out at least 19 strikes against boats in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, killing at least 76 people. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and other Venezuelan officials have accused the U.S. of fabricating a crisis and seeking to topple the country's left-wing socialist government. The aircraft carrier movement also comes amid tensions between the Trump administration and the Colombian government of President Gustavo Petro, whom Trump has characterized as a thug and a bad guy. Petro on Tuesday ordered his country's public security forces to suspend intelligence sharing with U.S. agencies until the boat attacks in the Caribbean stop. He wrote on X that the fight against drugs must be subordinated to the human rights of the Caribbean people. In a statement, the U.S. Navy said that the strike group entered the area of responsibility of U.S. Southern Command, which oversees Latin America and the Caribbean, on 11th November. The force includes the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, which itself includes. The U.S. announced it has conducted 2 additional strikes in the Pacific, killing 6 people. In addition to fueling tensions with the governments of Colombia and Venezuela, the strikes have led to concerns from some observers about violations of human rights and due process. Colombia's Petro has also faced criticism as well as U.S. sanctions over its reluctant response to drug trafficking groups. On Tuesday, Colombia's military officers revealed that they had launched their own deadly airstrikes against a drug-running guerrilla group in the Amazon region, killing 19, AFP reported. Earlier in November, Trump downplayed suggestions he was planning to topple the Venezuelan government or start a war. From the global scene, I am Esehe Osemwike, reporting for BeeTv News.
Bamako, Mali's capital city, the familiar sounds of car engines and horns have been replaced by those of shuffling feet. Residents push the plated motorcycles through the city's dusty roads, frustrated by the fuel blockage that has paralyzed Mali for more than 2 months, the report.
Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, a jihadist, Al-Qaeda-affiliated militia, has been attacking tankers bringing fuel into Mali, broadening its years-long insurgency to include economic warfare. The JNIM's fighters have kidnapped drivers and torched more than 100 trucks bound for Bamako. Daily life has been upended for millions of Malians. Schools and universities have had to close, food prices have surged, and hospitals are battling power cuts. The fuel shortage has sparked concern outside of Mali, with the U.S. urging Americans not to travel to Mali and France, advising the citizens in the West African country to leave as soon as possible. One defining image of the crisis is lengthy queues building up outside petrol stations. Mr. Jire says he hopes Mali's military-led government solves the crisis soon. Many delivery and bus drivers have resorted to sleeping at petrol stations in the hope of being the first to refuel when supplies come Monday, but staff in some rural areas still reportedly failed to travel to work. The havoc has touched millions of lives, and Malians are quietly raising concerns and questions about the government's capacity to respond. In an attempt to ease the crisis, the junta had announced a series of emergency measures. Army trucks loaded with soldiers have been escorting fuel convoys from the borders to the capital. However, the operations are fraught with security risk, and some of convoys have been attacked regardless of the army's presence. The government has also signed an emergency force supply agreement with Russia, report says. Esehe Osemwike, reporting for BeeTv News.
The prosecutor in Turkey's biggest city has accused popular mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu of 142 corruption offenses that commenced jail terms ranging from 828 to 2,352 years. İmamoğlu, considered the main political rival to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has been in pre-trial custody since March on suspicion of corruption. Favor Kolawole reports.
The Istanbul mayor and his opposition Republican People's Party deny any wrongdoing and accuse the president and his allies of launching a crackdown in response to Erdogan's decline in popularity. However, the city chief prosecutor has targeted not just Imamoglu, but 401 others with allegation of running a criminal corruption network with the mayor as its founder and leader. After an 8-month inquiry, prosecutor Akin Gulek said the suspect of whom 105 were in detention had formed an enormous criminal organization that had been engaged in taking and receiving bribes as well as money laundering. The costs and losses to the Turkish state amounts to 160 billion lira, 2.9 billion euro, $3.8 billion, he said. Imamoglu, who is the secular CHP's candidate for president against the July jail term of a year and 8 months for insulting and threatening the Istanbul prosecutor. He is also appealing against an earlier jail sentence for criticizing election officials. This spionage case, launched 2 weeks ago, alleges Imamoglu handed over data of Istanbul residents in return for international funding. Imamoglu has warned Turks to forget this espionage nonsense. Party leader Özgür Oxley has accused authorities of trying to invest offenses to prevent the mayor's release from prison. Favor Kolawole reporting for BeeTv News.
U.S. President Donald Trump envoy and son-in-law Jared Kushner returned to Israel on Monday as mediators face a new obstacle in their effort to advance negotiations on the fragile Gaza ceasefire deal to the next and more complex phase.
Timeline for the discussions, which are likely to require significant concessions from both Israel and Hamas, there are doubts that any progress can be achieved. Another challenge has emerged recently involving scores of Hamas fighters believed to be in tunnels beneath the southern city of Rafah behind the so-called Yellow Line, which marks the area under Israeli control. Last week, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff said an amnesty could be offered for fighters who laid down their arms and that this could be a model for what Washington hoped to apply in the rest of Gaza. Witkoff said 200 fighters were trapped, although this number has not been confirmed. According to media report, Kushner and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu discussed the issue during a meeting in Jerusalem on Monday. Hamas has previously said the fighters will not surrender and demanded that they are given safe passage, which has so far.
Apple's removal of 2 major gay dating apps from its Chinese store has reignited concerns about shrinking digital freedoms and growing restriction on LGBT expression in China, the report
confirmed that it has taken down. The company said the decision followed an order from the Cyberspace Administration of China and that it was simply complying with local regulations. The move has alarmed members of China's LGBTQ community who say online platforms are among the few safe spaces they have to connect. One user expressed hope that policymakers would understand that love is not something shameful or unspeakable. Blued, which has tens of millions of users, is one of the largest gay dating apps in China. A lighter version of the app remains available on some Chinese app stores alongside a few others like Jiko and Jacked. Apple operates a separate app store in China that abides by the country's strict internet rules. Many popular global platforms such as Instagram and WhatsApp are already banned, while Android users rely on local app stores because Google Play is blocked. This is not the first time China has targeted LGBTQ platforms. In 2022, Apple also removed the US-based app Grindr after a government crackdown on what is called illegal and inappropriate content. Authorities say the new rules are meant to promote a healthy internet environment, but activists argue they are erasing visibility for LGBTQ people. Homosexuality was decriminalized in 1997, yet same-sex marriage is still not legally recognized in China. Harmony Agba for reporting for BeeTv News.
Minister Sunil Takachi suggested that Japan could deploy its self-defense forces if China attacks Taiwan, the reports.
The remarks came during a parliamentary session where she described a potential invasion as a survival-threatening situation under Japan's 2015 security law, which Beijing reacted strongly, calling a controversial remark about Takaichi that Japan condemned as inappropriate. The diplomat later deleted the post, but the diplomatic strain continues. Japan has also protested China's response, highlighting the growing friction between the two nations. The situation is rooted in long-standing historical animosity dating back to Japan's military campaigns in China during the early 20th century and World War II. Takaichi, known for her hawkish stance on China, has previously expressed support for Taiwan and warned that a blockade could threaten Japan. Her comments mark a departure from Japan's traditional strategic ambiguity on Taiwan, a position that has mirrored US policy by remaining deliberately vague to deter Chinese aggression while preserving economic ties. Past Japanese leaders have faced similar backlash from Beijing for any remarks perceived as supporting Taiwan's independence. China maintains that Taiwan is part of its territory and has threatened to use force if necessary. Officials have warned of foreign interference separatists. The flare-up reflects border regional tensions, with Japan pursuing closer ties to the US and planning to increase defense spending. Analysts warn that Takaichi's hawkish approach and public
A court in Gabon has sentenced Sylvia Bongo, the former First Lady, and her son Nuruddin Bongo to 20 years in prison following a two-day trial for embezzlement and corruption, the report.
Both were fined 100 million CFA francs, and Nuruddin was additionally ordered to pay 1.2 trillion CFA francs in damage of the state. The charges stem from allegations that the pair exploited former President Ali Bongo's 2018 stroke to enrich themselves while running Gabon. Both have denied wrongdoing, calling the trial a legal farce. The trial proceeded in their absence as they were abroad on medical grounds after spending 20 months in detention. Ali Bongo, arrested in an August 2023 coup led by Brice Oligui Nguema, is not facing charges and was released from house arrest. The Bongo family had ruled Gabon for over 5 decades, with Ali Bongo in power for 14 years, following his father Omar Bongo's 42-year rule. Despite Gabon's oil wealth, a third of it
to celebrate 365 days of progressive leadership, visible progress, and practical governance. The Edo State government cordially invites you to the one-year anniversary celebration of His Excellency Senator Monday Okpebholo, Governor of Edo State. Theme: 365 days rebuilding a new Edo. Date: 12th of November 2025. Time: 10 a.m. Venue: Victor Owaifo Creative Hub, Airport Road, Benin City. Join us in celebrating 365 days of positive impact, 365 days of progressive leadership, 365 days of remarkable milestones, and 365 days of the Shine Agenda, where policies have become practical, visible results, all driven by the visionary leadership of a man whose courage, dedication, and unwavering commitment is rebuilding Edo brick by brick. And this is just the beginning. A new Edo has risen. Signed, Edo State Government.
It's been 1 year of purposeful leadership, 1 year of people-centered governance, 1 year of progress under His Excellency Senator Monday Okpebholo, Governor of Edo State. From the reconstruction of major roads across Benin City and rural communities of Edo to massive recruitment of teachers and revitalization of public schools, from improved healthcare facilities to the empowerment of youths, traders, and farmers through grants and skill acquisition schemes, Edo is truly on the rise. Okpebholo has brought stability, restored public confidence, and strengthened collaboration for good governance. As proud Edo sons and daughters, we celebrate a year of growth, unity, and progress for all. 1 year of vision, 1 year of purpose, and 1 year of greater Edo. Indeed, a new Edo is rising. Once again, congratulations, Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Monday Okpebholo, Executive Governor, Edo State. Signed, Honorable Jared Tinebe, Chairman, APC, and Engineer Lawrence Oka, Secretary, APC, Edo State.
Welcome back, and now to the business news. The Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, PACA, has called on the federal government to suspend the planned 15% import tariff on petrol and diesel, warning that the policy could raise pump prices and worsen economic hardship. Let's join BeeTv News Esohe Osemige for more details.
PACA Executive Director Eze Nwagu said in Abuja that the proposed tariff should not be implemented until Nigeria's domestic refining capacity meets at least 80% of national fuel demand. He explained that local refineries currently supply far below that level, with the Dangote refinery meeting only about 40% of demand and still importing components for blending. Nwagu said imported petrol currently lands at about 802 naira per litre, while locally refined products cost around 929.72 per litre. He warned that the 15% tariff could add between 140 naira and 165 naira to pump prices nationwide. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, has joined the global accounting community to celebrate International Accounting Day 2025 with the Southwest Regional event held at Yaba College of Technology, Lagos. Speaking on behalf of ICANN President Malam Haruna Yahaya, immediate past president, chief in both countries to promote cooperation in tourism, the orange economy, and creative industries. The six-member St. Lucian delegation, led by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Tourism, Investment, Culture, Creative Industries and Information, met with Chocolate City executives, including co-founder Paul Okeugo and CEO Abuchi Peter Ugu. Discussions focused on joint initiatives in music, film, fashion and capacity building for young creatives. Both sides agreed to pursue talent exchanges, collaborative productions, and shared participation in major cultural events such as St. Lucia's Jazz Festival and Nigeria's 30 December festivals. And that is the end of the business news segment. I am Esohe Osemegi, reporting for BeeTv News.
And on the entertainment news, Nigerian disc jockey and philanthropist Florence Otedola, popularly known as DJ Copy, celebrated her 33rd birthday on Tuesday with a simple yet heartwarming photoshoot featuring her dogs Fufu and Dudu. The report.
Kobe shared photos on social media showing her smiling beside birthday candles shaped in the number 33, captioned the post, "Level 33 unlocked." The image quickly drew thousands of reactions from fans and fellow celebrities who flooded her page with congratulatory messages. The DJ had earlier announced plans to mark her birthday quietly this year, focusing on gratitude and self-reflection. She noted that growing up in a privileged family had shaped her outlook on life and success, inspiring her to support your youth empowerment and education initiative through her foundation. Boluwatife Ayodeji Balogun, the first son of Nigerian Afrobeat superstar Wizkid, has officially launched his music career with the release of his debut EP titled Champion's Arrival. The 14-year-old announced the 5-track project on Instagram on Tuesday, writing that his first body of work is now available on all major streaming platforms.